Hey guys, we are going to go over our second part of function notes. These should be pretty quick and easy, and this is all a review. So on the notes, number one says to write a rule for the function, then find y, or then find x when y is equal to 32. So we have a table of values, and the ordered pairs on that table of values, of the table of values, are -1, -4, 2, 8, and 5, 20. So to write an equation or to write a rule, that means the same thing, I need to find my slope first. So I'm going to use those two ordered pairs to do that. So m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That gives me 12 over 3, which means my slope is 4. And then I'm going to find b by plugging everything into my equation and solving for b. I'm going to use this ordered pair right here. So I'm going to plug in 8 for y, 4 for my slope, and 2 for x. And I get 8 is equal to 8 plus b. And then we're going to subtract 8 on both sides to get b is 0. So my equation is y equals 4x. And then it says to find x when y is 32. So I'm going to plug in 32 for y and solve for x. I'm going to divide both sides by 4 to get that x is equal to 8. Number 2 says, given the equation y is equal to x plus 4, identify the range when the domain is -1, -2, -3, and -5. So that means we want to know what is the y value when x is -1, -2, -3, and -5. So I'm just going to plug those in. So y is equal to -1 plus 4, and that would be that y is equal to 3. Y is equal to -2 plus 4, and y would be 2. Y is equal to -3 plus 4, and y would be 1. And y is equal to -5 plus 4, and y would be -1. So to list my range, it would be 3, 2, 1, and -1. Number 3 says Heather's weekly pay is directly proportional. So if it's directly proportional, that means it's a proportional relationship, which means it's the equation y equals kx, to the number of hours she works at the record store. Her pay is $174 for 24 hours of work. Write an equation to find the amount of pay for 40 hours of work. So in order to write this equation, I need to know what is k. K is y divided by x. Remember that time is your x, so the 24 hours has to go there, which means that the $174 goes in the numerator, and that comes out to $7.25 per hour. So my equation is y equals 7.25x. And then we want to know, so it's part of your answer, and then find the amount of pay for 40 hours. So I'm going to plug in 40 for x, because x is your time. To get that y is equal to $290. Number 4 says that the price of Trisha's chocolate chip cookies varies directly. So that means it is a direct variation, which means it's a proportional relationship, which means your equation is y equals kx. Write an equation that describes the relationship and then determine the price of 30 cookies. So if you look at the graph, you can see various points on there. I would just pick the first one to use, which is 4, 3.2. So in order to find k, we're going to do y divided by x, which would be 3.2 divided by 4, which comes out to 0.8. So our equation is y equals 0.8x. And now we need to determine the price of 30 cookies. If you look at the graph, you can see that 30 cookies is on the x-axis. So you plug that in for x. And when we multiply those together, you get that y is $24. Oh, I skipped one. My bad. That is number 5. And now let's try number 4. If y varies directly with x, so if y varies directly, that's a direct variation, which means your equation is y equals kx. When x is 5 and y is 12, find x when y is 30. So we first need to find k, which is y divided by x, which means x is 5 and y is 12. That's what it told us first. So if this is true, which means your equation is y equals 12 fifths x, if that is true, we want to know what is x when y is 30. So you're going to plug in 30 for y and solve for x. To do that, we're going to divide both sides by 12 fifths, since that's multiplied. So you're doing 30 divided by 12 fifths, and when we divide by a fraction, we keep change flip. So it would be 30 times 5/12, and when you do that, you get that x is 25 over 2. Alright, number 6. So with this one, I'm going to actually show it to you on the paper because I already have it done on there. But on number 6, you could only complete this one if you put the first equation in slope-intercept form. Remember that if it's not in the form y equals mx plus b, then we couldn't graph it on here. Okay, so we first put this equation in slope-intercept form by subtracting 1/2 x on both sides to get this equation y equals 1/2 x minus 2. So that one we graphed right here. So it's got a y-intercept of -2, and we're going to go down 1 and right 2, and up 1 and left 2 to get that line. Then this other equation was already in slope-intercept form, so we went ahead and graphed that. It's got a y-intercept of 2, a slope of -3/2, so that's down 3, right 2, down 3, right 2, and up 3, left 2. And then remember, a solution to a system is where they intersect, which is at 4, -4. If they don't intersect, then that would be no solution. And if you graph and it's the exact same line, then that would be infinitely many solutions. So number 6, the answer was the ordered pair 4, -4. Number 7 says the entrance fee for Mountain World Theme Park is $20. Visitors can purchase tickets for rides and games and food for $2 each. Write an equation to determine the relationship and determine the cost for 15 tickets. So hopefully you look at that and say, okay, I know that this is non-proportional because it's not starting at 0. Okay, we have an initial fee of $20, so that means your y-intercept is 20. It's $2 for each ticket, and that's representing your slope. So your equation is y equals 2x plus 20. And then we want to know how much it would cost for 15 tickets. So we're going to plug in 15 tickets for x and solve for y. We get y is equal to 30 plus 20, and y is equal to $50. Number 8, we need to write the following equation in slope-intercept form. So we have y minus 2 is equal to -2 times x plus 3. And in order to do that, we need to distribute first, since we cannot combine within those parentheses, to get -2x minus 6. And then to get y by itself, we're going to add 2 to both sides. We can only add it to the -6 because those are like terms. And we get y is equal to -2x minus 4. Number 9, write an equation for a horizontal line through the point -3, 5. So think about it like this. We have a horizontal line, so that would go on our graph. If this were our graph, here's our x-axis, here's our y-axis, here's our origin. A horizontal line will go through the y-axis, so your equation is y equals whatever the y value is. Number 10, we want to write an equation for a vertical line. So I'm going to sketch a graph again. So here's my x-axis, here's my y-axis, here's my origin. I have a vertical line, and that vertical line goes through the x-axis. So here's my order pair, negative 3, 4. A vertical line goes through the x-axis, so the equation is x equals whatever the x value is. All right, guys, if y'all have any questions, just let us know.